Hi, second grade. We're going to start a new story today, and so I wanted to introduce to you some vocabulary that you're going to hear in the story, or some power words. So I'm going to hold up a card, and I'm going to say the word, and then I would like you to say the word as well. Snaking. Say that with me. Snaking. So something that is snaking bends and curves. So you can see this road here is snaking through the mountains. Snaking. So you might have a river that goes through an area as well, and it would be a snaking river, maybe because it bends and curves. So you can see snaking kind of looks like a snake, doesn't it? So why is it difficult to ride your bike if you were on a snaking path? Yeah, you would have lots of curves and bends, and it's a lot easier to ride when things are just straight, isn't it? Very good. Snaking. Bends and curves. Belongs. Say that with me. Belongs. So when someone belongs, he or she is part of a group. Belongs. So this dog belongs to us. Belongs. So if I were to split you up, maybe based on the colors that you were wearing, and I had maybe a blue group and a red group, I could say that everyone standing in this area belongs to the red group because they're all wearing red. Belongs. So what belongs in a pond? Maybe frogs, lily pads, fish. Very good. Bundle. Say that with me. Bundle. So when you bundle up, you dress warmly. I bet you've done this before. So this child will bundle up to play out in the snow. Bundle. So we don't really need to bundle up right now because the weather is still warm, but soon to come to school, you may need to bundle up your clothing. Bundle. So when might a grown-up ask you to bundle up? Yeah, maybe on a really cold day, maybe on a snow day. Maybe we'll get a snow day this year. Company. Say that with me. Company. When you keep someone company, you stay with that person. So we like to visit our grandma and grandpa to keep them company. They're staying with their grandma and grandpa. So if I had a student who might have to stay inside or sit down on a bench because maybe they're hurt, I might sit with them and keep them company. So when you're at home on the weekend, who keeps you company? Yeah, probably your family. Good job. Bob. Say that with me. Bob. When you bob, you move up and down. These apples bob in the water. So I can bob my head, moving it up and down. You'll often see people bob in the pool. They'll move up and down, up and down. So what are some things that bob? People in a pool, apples in a bucket, little buoys. If you've ever seen a buoy like out on a lake, it bobs up and down. Very good. Weave. Say that with me. Weave. So when you weave, you pass strips of fabric, yarn, or other materials over and under each other to make something. So we watched this woman weave yarn into cloth on a loom. So to make a braid in your hair, you actually weave the pieces of your hair together. Weave. So what could you make when you weave pieces of paper together? Yeah, you might make like a little checkerboard thing. If you took pieces of paper and went over and under, over and over, you might end up with a little checkerboard piece of paper. So before we read our new story today, I want us to talk about something new, something you may have heard of before. You may not have heard of this before. It's called point of view. So all stories are told from a specific point of view. When a story is told from a first-person point of view, the narrator is a character in the story. And we do that a lot in our writing. When we write our narrative pieces, we are the character or a character in a story. We're writing from first-person point of view. So someone's point of view is the way he or she sees things happen. And characters can have different points of view. So I just touched a little bit on first person point of view. You may hear the words I, my, me. A story written in first-person point of view has a character in the story as the narrator. So the person telling the story is a character in the story. So look for a narrator who uses the words I, me, my. That would tell us that this is a first-person point of view. The person telling the story is telling it from their point of view. So now there's another type of point of view, and it's called third-person point of view. So you notice the words are different over here. He, she, they. A story written in third-person point of view has an outside narrator. So the narrator uses the word he, she, or they. An outside narrator can tell about all the characters. So if we're writing in third-person point of view, whoever's doing the writing isn't in the story. They're not using words like I, me, and my. This narrator would use words like he, she, or they. It's almost like an outsider telling the story. So as I read today, I want you to think about who is telling the story and how do you know? Do you hear words like I, my, and me? Or do you hear words like he, she, and they? I want you to think about, is the character the narrator in the story? So we're going to read a new story today, and while we read, I want you thinking about point of view. Is it first person, where the narrator is part of the story? Or is it third person, where it's told from an outsider? So when we're thinking about point of view while we're reading, I want you thinking about first person or third person. So let me give you an example. So a character may think that reading a book each day is a way to become a better reader, while another character may think it's too much work. So you should ask yourself, is the character telling the story? If the answer is yes, then the story is written in first-person point of view here. If the answer is no, the character is not telling the story, then that would be third person. So you can look at words and illustrations in a story, and they'll help you identify the narrator, and the narrator is the person who's telling the story. The character is usually in the illustrations too. So if a story has an outside narrator, then the narrator uses he, she, or they, and they're not going to be in the pictures. But if it's first person, you'll often see the narrator in the pictures. So if a story is written in first person point of view, you will only know how the characters feel based on the narrator. However, a story written in third person point of view will show how all the characters think and feel. So if something's written in first person point of view, you're only really going to get to know what the narrator is thinking and feeling. On the other side of that, if it's written in third person point of view, you'll know how all the characters think and feel. So we're going to identify practicing point of view when we listen to a read aloud here in just a few minutes.